Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and as always, before this video starts, I want to use this opportunity to express my eternal gratitude towards those who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal, or Super Thanks. I really appreciate your generosity, so thank you friends, and have a blessed day. Now, today's video I will start with the situation in Avdeevka city, as Russian offensive with the goal of capturing this city continues, with the most brutal fighting happening here to the south of Avdeevka, near the Russian-controlled town of Spartak. Yesterday I reported of a massive breakthrough that Russian forces were able to achieve with the help of Spetsnaz forces, and it seems that it's fair to add ex-Wagner troops to this mix to make the picture whole. Russians here continue to develop their success, and as a result of storming operations, this is how much territory Russians were able to capture in the last 24 hours. As you can see, the initial report of Russians capturing the stronghold of Tsarskaya Okhota, as well as this fortificated area, turned out to be true. When it comes to the deep state map, they were more conservative giving Russians territory. However, they have confirmed the capture of Tsarskaya Okhota and the general increase of the Russian presence near this fortified area. At this point in time, there are heavy battles happening here in this general sector, as Russians attack along this road and within this forest, and are currently storming houses along Sportivnaya, Chernyshevskaya, and Volutsa Saborna streets. Situation here is extremely fluid, and it is very hard to tell how deep Russians were able to penetrate Ukrainian defensive lines within Avdeevka itself, but the fact of hard fighting here in this area is absolutely undisputed, as it is reported by absolutely every single source. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that Ukrainians are still heavily present in this general area, and as Russians continue to advance here, Ukrainian forces on this salient may find themselves in a partial encirclement. With the fall of this sector of Avdeevka city, Russian attacks coming from both flanks, especially here from Apitne, and as well as straightforward from the town of Spartak, may potentially be too overwhelming for Ukrainian forces, and they will be forced to retreat behind a more suitable defensive line that is represented by this thick forest line. Perhaps it is with that in mind, Russians are attacking here in this area with more precision. If Russians are to capture this forest line, not only will they be able to save Apitne from Ukrainian counterattacks once and for all, but will also be able to storm this heavily fortified area within Avdeevka city itself. If we zoom in, we can immediately tell that this is the most fortified area within the city, as it is basically the only one with high raised buildings, while the rest of the city is mostly 1 to 2-story residential buildings. Ideally, of course, Russians should capture this 9th quarter first to ensure safe and secure advance within Avdeevka city itself. Ukrainians also understand this probability, and they're fighting here desperately to stop Russians from advancing. On the interesting note, I have a video of Russian aviation conducting airstrike raid on Ukrainian positions somewhere in this area. This video can serve as a proof that Russians are attacking here in this area by using combined arms tactics. Russians also advanced ever slightly within the industrial zone area, and as a result of that, were able to capture this much territory, thus getting extremely close to the Ukrainian-controlled forest to the southeast of Avdeevka. I'm sure soon we will hear news of Russians fighting for the control of this said forest. Generally speaking, Russian assaults were also reported, as expected, from Apitne and Vodyane, where Russians attacked in the direction of Ukrainian-controlled village of Severne and Tonenke as well, and attacked all across this wide front in the general attempt to capture Ukrainian positions that stand in between Russian forces and 9th quarter of the Avdeevka proper. Russians also attacked from Vodyane in the direction of Pervomaisky, and from Pisky in the direction of Pervomaisky also, as well as in the direction of village of Nevelske. Seemingly, all Russian attacks in this general area were repelled by the Ukrainian forces. However, judging by the fact that there are little to no counterattacks, we can safely assume that Ukrainian forces here are paralyzed and have no ability to counterattack to stop Russians. The Russian forces were also able to advance ever slightly from the village of Kamyanka within this dacha area, and as a result of that, were able to capture those shown territories in the last 24 hours. Perhaps sensing the inevitable capture of Avdeevka, Ukrainians have decided to increase the amount of fortifications in this area, as you can see here on those pictures. Of course, it doesn't mean that they are going to give up Avdeevka without a fight. However, this means that in the near future, Ukrainians will sit in defense without committing into another counteroffensive. Because, as you know, the last one failed miserably. This is a sign that Ukrainians are willing to give up initiative to the Russians and hope for the best. Before we move to the other portions of the front, I also want to use this opportunity to ask you to consider supporting this video with any means you consider necessary, as it will greatly help this channel. Thank you for your considerations, and let's move on. From here, let's move all the way to the Kupiansk front and discuss recent Russian territorial gain within the settlement of Krokhmalne. Those news started coming in about 24 hours ago and were recently confirmed by geolocated photos that you can see on your screens. Those photos, taken on the very edge of Krokhmalne village, support Russian claim that this village is in full Russian control. This is how much territories Syriac maps had decided to give Russians. Ukrainian report had gave Russians much more territories, as you can see here on your screens. According to pro-Ukrainian source, not only were Russians able to capture Krokhmalne, but also significantly advance here in this general area and take control of a long strip of this very important road and some forest lines. If we zoom out a little, we can see the whole situation unravel before our eyes, as this recent territorial Russian change shows that Russians will continue to attack in the direction of Ukrainian-controlled villages of Avdeevka, Berestove, and Pishchane. Not only that, this recent Russian territorial gain can potentially allow Russians to advance along this route to the flank and rear of Ukrainian positions in Kotlerivka and Kislivka. And with Russian attacks here in this area from the settlements of Yahidne, Ukrainian soldiers will yet again find themselves in a partial encirclement and will be forced to retreat. At the very last, let's visit Zaporozhye and discuss the situation on a Vremevka tactical bridgehead, which of course does not resemble any bridgehead at this point. For months, frontline here had not changed, however both sides were engaged in active positional style warfare, and as a result of that fighting, Russians were able to advance near Zavetna Bazhanye village to the southeast of Ukrainian-controlled village of Urozhaine. Here on this picture, you can see exactly how much territories Russians captured in this recent attack. This successful Russian attack was also acknowledged by a pro-Ukrainian source. However, immediately soon after, they reported of a partially successful counterattack in which Russians lost several positions in this area and especially control of this portion of the forest line. This is all that I have for you today. Hopefully this video was to your liking and informative enough. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.